Guys, as we all know, TikTok is going to be leaving the country in a couple of days. So we all have to come up with some new hobbies. So I figured I'd put together a little montage of videos where people discussed those new hobbies. I hope you enjoy.
So I'm sitting here on a little break and I started filming on my TikTok, and then I just go to think, what am I gonna do when they ban TikTok? Like, I genuinely love making content. It literally makes me so happy, and it makes me so sad that they're trying to ban it, y'all. So I'm sitting here on my break talking to the camera. That's my hobby, okay? I love content creating. What am I gonna do if they do delete it? Because we're hoping they don't, right? But it's crazy, you guys. It's crazy. If they delete TikTok, my life is literally over, because I love it. I love being able to express myself and talk on here. This is my break. This is my fun time.
So I think a lot of people love TikTok, but remember, this is about hobbies. So here's some new ones for you.
2 years ago, I realized I needed to find a hobby. These are garden roses, and I am gently reflexing them to make them look bigger. I wanted to find a hobby where I could flex my creative muscle, improve my mood, and overall just improve my lifestyle at home. I tried baking, painting, calligraphy, and floral design. And that's when I really fell in love with the process of creating a floral arrangement. These are spray roses. They come in the most beautiful colors. And this is a butterfly ranunculus. It has this wax coating on the petal that gives it the most beautiful shine. My vision for this one is just a lot of blooms and not a lot of greenery, so I'm removing the leaves. And yes, these are carnations. I love working with carnations. They come in the most beautiful colors. They're inexpensive and they last forever. I feel like they just became overly popular in weddings of the 80s and 90s. I'm rooting for a carnation comeback. I selected all the blooms for this arrangement based on the color gradient of this reflexed tulip. Tulips are always on the move, so don't overthink the placement of them. When you first place them, they'll start to stand up, then they'll start to droop. Of course, if you really want them to stay in the same spot, you can wire them. I grew up in the flower industry, and I love that I'm constantly still learning new things. I hid this rose from myself because I felt like I would need a little dramatic touch in the end. And here we are. She's blooming. I hope you find a hobby and create a life that you love.
She is extremely pleasant, and that video was really, really nice. I could see a lot of people doing something like this. Did you guys know that a long time ago, tulips were like the most expensive thing in the world? I heard a story about that. I don't know if it's 100% true, but did you guys hear that too?
The reason that they're called granny hobbies is because you can't have no kids around while you do them. Your granny was by herself. Your granddad was still working until he was 90 years old, I'm sure. And she was by herself in the house. And so, you know what? She could take up canning because she could take all day if she wanted to do it. The other day I wanted to start canning. I put some beans on the counter, some black beans. You have to soak them, it says, for 12 to 48 hours, which seems like a really big span of time. Well, I did not know that you soak the beans and the beans soak up that water, and then you got to keep adding water or something. I don't know, because I came back the next day, my beans had sprouted. They were growing. I was growing beans, and I just wanted to can them. I'll ever try to sew with kids, all of a sudden they want to do it, and then you're just like moving their little hands along and just praying to God their finger doesn't get sucked underneath that thing. I have a hard enough time doing it by myself as an adult. I am scared of the thing. Heaven forbid you take up like knitting or crocheting, and then all of a sudden your kids turn into cats and they're just swatting that stuff around left and right, and that's not cheap. There's another thing about granny hobbies, like where is granny getting this money? Granny said, I'm gonna give you $10 on your birthday every year. Blessed. She's gonna spend the rest of it on fabric and a pressure canner. Anyway, they were granny hobbies for a reason.
I never really thought of it, but that makes a lot of sense. Back in the day, Grandpa was up working, right, till all hours of the evening. Granny was alone for hours on end. She had to come up with something. I always think it's fascinating when women do these crochetings and things, where they crochet blankets and pillowcases and stuff.
Asking for a friend. As a 26-year-old girl that works in corporate finance every day, my New Year's resolution is to try and find new hobbies to kind of like get me some spice in my extracurricular life. What hobbies do you like to do? Do you recommend? Do you feel like add character to your life? Need ideas.
I always recommend walking. If anything, when you're on your walk, you might even think of new hobbies to add to your repertoire.
Hey, I got a quick question for y'all, for us fishermen. What's y'all other hobbies besides fishing? What else y'all like to do? Like me personally, I don't really like doing much else. I like to fish. I like to learn how to fish. I put my money, time, and effort into learning how to fish. I'm trying to fish like the big boys. I'm trying to fish like Buddy right here. You know what I'm saying? Getting sponsored. He over in Japan fishing, catching big bass, tanks. He's probably the most underrated bass fisherman that I've seen. But yeah, so what y'all like to do? What else y'all like to, put y'all money into?
That's interesting. That reminded me of a famous movie scene. Do you guys remember when Bubba and Forrest were talking and Bubba was going over the million and one ways that you can make shrimp? That's what that reminded me of. This guy really loves fishing. He could check out Forrest Gump because he looks young enough where he might not have ever seen that movie. Therapy wasn't for you, so you got into boxing. Oh, nice. Keep going. That was very impressive. She should keep going with that hobby.
Getting back into our hobbies postpartum because we're gonna run again. A little too late for being honest. On a time crunch because my boys don't wake up soon. Let's do it. They're like 3 or 4 minutes in. I think this run is gonna feel better. I just think this is gonna be a good one. I recorded that. We're going downhill. Take it back. Take it back. I don't usually run in these leggings. They won't stay up. Driving me insane. About 1.5 miles. It's my first walk, but I'm feeling pretty good. My hands are freezing. And my goal is to make it back to the car. 50 minutes out, I'm gonna do 15 minutes back. You just hit 2 miles and feel pretty good so far. Okay, I'm almost done, but I had to stop and walk because my stomach's a little uneasy. Mostly because I have been drinking. I just ran 3 miles. 3 miles. The farthest I've run in like probably a year. And I'm so excited. I'm so proud of myself. Stopped and walked a few times, don't worry. See you guys back here Wednesday or Thursday.
So I'm very impressed and very proud of this mom, but there's one thing that scares me, and I don't even know if you guys caught it because I catch these things. She was saying that she was hoping that her baby was going to stay asleep. Did she just ditch out on her baby and let the dog babysit for her while she went and ran 3 miles? That's scary because somewhere in the country that is happening. Weird hobby, part number one.
I'm a needle felting artist. What's needle felting, you ask?
Yeah,
It's where you take a bunch of wool
okay.
like this, or this is what it looks like if your dog tears it up, and then you stab it. Literally, you take a needle and you just start stabbing the wool until you sculpt it into little things like this.
Whoa, that is awesome. I wasn't expecting that. I found a bunch of hobbies and didn't watch them till right now with you. That is amazing. It's amazing. I saw some movie when I was younger. I don't know if it was The Never-Ending Story, but there were like rocks that could talk, and that, if it were gray color, would look just like that. If you guys know what I'm talking about, fill in the blank for me. My favorite hobby is doing puzzles. Listen to this one. This was one that I listened to the first half, and that was it.
Okay, so one thing about me is I love doing puzzles. Like puzzles, like not 500 pieces. I like doing like 1,000 and up. So that's my favorite hobby. I have puzzle tools. I have special puzzle glue. I have a puzzle book. I'm part of all these puzzle groups on, but I have not touched a puzzle in over a year because the night that my sister was killed, I was doing a puzzle. And I feel like if I wasn't doing the puzzle that night, I would have been more aware.
Aww.
So I have blamed myself all along because I was doing a puzzle that night. And I shouldn't have been doing a puzzle that night, and I was. But my mom and I were out Black Friday shopping today, and look what I bought.
Aww.
So I am in my head, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? Should I not do it?
Your sister met a bad, evil person And because she's your sister, she probably knows that puzzles make you feel better about your day and it's something you enjoy. People at home, let me know down in the comments if you agree. I think her sister would want her to do the puzzle. And if it makes you think about your sister, that might be a positive too, if you can think about the positive things, of course. God bless her and her sister. Okay, this one says, are you a hobby jumper?
Do you collect hobbies? Like, you know, totally into something for, you know, a couple weeks, months. You wake up one day, on to something new. I don't want to do that anymore. Ooh, there's a shiny new hobby. Does anybody else have this issue?
I think people do that with photography. Have you ever met somebody that says, I'm going to get a new camera and I'm going to start taking pictures because I always wanted to? And then they buy this expensive camera and they never go take pictures. Tell us your hobbies that you have started and stopped. This one says the best part about being bored and insane.
The best part about being bored and insane and living alone is I have all these weird hobbies that no one's ever heard of. I have this new one called lung crushing. Basically, I just move my torso around until I can hear all the air moving in and out of my lungs by itself.
That was odd. I hiked 60 kilometers in the last 3 days. Okay, Sean, this one's for you.
I hiked 60 kilometers in the last 3 days. I have no business doing that. I have no training to do that. I have no idea what provoked me to do that. Actually, I do. I love an adventure. But, yeah. Do something that really throws you outside of your comfort zone. Maybe do so in a safer way. But, like, go for it. I did that at 32 with no training.
You know, she brings up a great point. Do something outside of your comfort zone. If there's something that you always said, I would love to do that, but I don't think I'm athletic enough, or I don't think I've got enough money, or I don't have enough this or that and the other, just try it anyway. Maybe you'll find a way to make it work, and maybe you'll be great at it. Okay, this is the one that I did see because it's only 10 seconds. But guys, it says, my dog saved our family. Thank you. And I think her hobby was probably, I don't know, being in her dog's life all the time. Oh my God, the fire. Oh my God, the dog is taking the fire blanket away. And then it is, I don't know how it got water. It was filling up a bucket like it was going to put out the water. Now, I don't know if that was all staged or what, but if your dog did save your life, then good on you for making training your dog your hobby. Guys, my favorite hobby, believe it or not, is going on walks. It makes me feel great. I'm able to strategize. I'm able to lose weight and be a little bit more healthy. And I come up with great ideas all the time, and you will too. So join me on my hobby today by putting on your shoes. Let's go for a walk. You're invited. Yes, come on. Good morning, Venters. I hope you're having a happy start to your weekend. I just saw a video that I wanted to share with you guys because it was really sad, and it's been happening lately. What are you talking about, Jesse? What's been happening lately? Bob, imagine this. You're a police officer and you get called out to a house because they're having an issue with dogs. You go there and you go into the backyard because you hear a scuffle, and you find out that a man and woman are being attacked, get this, in their own backyard by not one, not two, but 3 dogs. The man had slight wounds, nothing too major, but the woman's wounds were so severe, and she had multiple wounds, that they had to actually take her to the hospital where she actually perished. Now, I don't know about you, but if somebody shoots you and they get you in the heart or they get you in the brain, there's a good chance you're just instantly going to be gone, right? Now imagine having to wrestle for the last 10 minutes of your life with 3 dogs. Now, whenever I think about dogs attacking humans, I'm usually thinking pit bulls. Are you? Now imagine it if they had 3 pit bulls attacking this poor lady, or even worse, imagine if it was 3 giant-sized chihuahuas. Oh my God. Can we all agree I would rather have the 3 pit bulls than the 3 giant-sized chihuahuas? Chihuahuas are by far the meanest animal that the world has ever seen. It makes the black mamba and the pit viper seem like you could pet them in comparison. So anyway, this happens. They pepper spray the dogs. They take the poor lady to the nearby hospital there in the North St. Louis area, where she perishes. And it makes you wonder, why aren't people taking care of their dogs? Well, before we go and jump to that conclusion that this is somebody's fault, the news wasn't sure if these were just 3 feral dogs, and they had mentioned that people had been talking about a lot of groups of these homeless feral dogs, or if it truly was somebody that the dogs got out of their enclosure or backyard and they actually belonged to the neighbors. The news didn't know, but they were going to do a follow-up story. But there were still some really interesting comments that I'd like to talk about. Before we get to the comments, though, let's just talk, you and me. I love dogs, so do you. But I've never in my life heard of cats taking out people. Maybe if you're one of these folks that doesn't really care about pets all that much but owns them, maybe you should own cats rather than dogs, because the thing with dogs is they're as nice or as mean as your owner. What do you mean by that, Jesse? Well, I've met Chihuahuas and I've met pit bulls that are actually the nicest dogs you could ever imagine. Some pit bulls are a little weird where they're absolutely nice to humans, but if they see another dog, it's on and they will literally take that other dog out. So with pit bulls, it's weird. They're either really nice to humans, or really mean to humans and other dogs and pets. If you've had this same experience with pit bulls, let me know. Even though people aren't very fond of the breed, I myself, I don't believe I've ever had any issues with pit bulls in my life. As a matter of fact, the hundreds that I've met through the years have all been real sweetheart dogs. I think Pretty Girl is either pit bull or part pit bull. And I think one day I was on a walk and some sort of half pit bull kind of came out to attack me, but I was able to talk it down. I just said, hey, I'm the star of Walk Talk Vent, and it just knew I wasn't worth messing with. By the way, I was kind of serious about Chihuahuas. I don't know what it is, but you figure people that have these mean Chihuahuas, you figure they would tell them to settle down, you can be nice, and you figure eventually the dog would be nice. I think there's a part of the owner that revs those dogs up, kind of rewards it when no one's looking, right? It tries to bite you, you leave, and then before you know it, the owner's giving it dog cookies and treats. Of course those dogs are gonna keep trying to bite your fingers off. Sometimes Chihuahuas have really messed up teeth too, where it just looks like a sticker bush of teeth. God, those dogs are so scary. If I give you nightmares because of the rabid Chihuahua dog, I apologize, but seriously, I would not want to leave a little baby in the presence of some of those Chihuahuas. They're just mean. And for some reason, if you move out to Arizona, everybody wants a Chihuahua. It is the craziest thing. You know, I guess what you could do if you were ever one of these people that didn't really want to carry a knife on you or pepper spray or a gun or anything, I guess the next thing that I would want, like my daughter or a member of my family to have, would be like a nice, strong, tough dog. I don't know if I would want them to have a pit bull, but The most talented, scary dog that I've ever seen. Tell me if you guys have heard of this. It's called a Malinois. And the best way I can describe a Malinois is it kind of looks like a German Shepherd, but I've seen these things jump like 10 or 15 feet in the air. I've seen them jump into a vehicle as it was driving down the street where the window was open. They literally are the acrobats of the dog world. And on top of being acrobats, like I said, they kind of resemble really mean German Shepherds. If you're familiar with the Malinois, it kind of looks like Malinois if you were to look at the name of it. But I believe it's pronounced Malinois. Those are dogs that are so crazy, I don't think I would ever want to own one. They are beautiful dogs, they're amazing, but they just have a little too much superhuman strength and skills that I don't think I'd want to have one. I did have a Shar-Pei once that when my wife said, get off the bed, it growled at her, and it was such a scary growl that she like never messed with the dog again. We had to get rid of that dog. One time, we left our house for a couple hours to go eat. And when we came back, and we left him in the backyard. When we came back, I could hear him scratching at the front door as I was coming in, and I'm like, oh Jesus, did somebody leave the back Arcadia door open? How the heck did he get inside? So we open up the door, we walk into our living room, and lo and behold, he actually jumped through the back window. Oh my God, could you imagine how angry you would be if your dog jumped through the darn window? Absolutely freakiest thing ever. We had to get rid of that dog. At Danella Apperson says, in her own backyard, ? The owner should be charged with unaliving. Your Honor, we have 2 cases of unaliving that we would like to bring before the court. What is unaliving? Unaliving is what you have to say because YouTube doesn't like real words. Anyway, I agree with this person. Do you? I think the owner should be charged. However, keep in mind what the news report said. They don't know if it's 3 dogs that are owned by anybody. These things could just be feral dogs that are running through the neighborhood. This has been happening a lot lately. I've been watching little video clips, and I don't know if they all happened in the same area or what, but I feel like I've heard over the last couple days that there's been some other dog attacks that ended up resulting in children losing their lives. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times when I hear about dogs attacking anybody, it seems like a lot of the times they're attacking little kids. And I don't know about you, but it's really hard for me to swallow the idea of some of these dogs just going out and attacking kids. It just makes you want to round up all the dogs and get them off the streets. But you know how it is. There's some people out there that love the dogs more than kids. Isn't it amazing how diverse the dog populations are? That you can have dogs that are just the most gentle, nice dogs, like, golden retrievers and labs. And then on the opposite end, you can have these dogs that are like, mean, rabid chihuahuas and pit bulls. And the reason I say that is because, yes, I know there's nice chihuahuas out there. Yes, I know there's nice pit bulls out there, but you got to remember, these things are still related to wolves. And wolves are considered an apex predator, So it's like you have a dog, it's probably stronger than you. It's probably faster than you. I mean, it is faster than you. No matter how good of a runner you are, it will catch you. It'll still outrun you. I heard somewhere that dogs can run darn near 30 miles per hour for darn near 30 miles in a row. Now, just picture that, if you will. That is the fastest sprinter ever, Usain Bolt, being out-sprinted for 30 consecutive miles. Meanwhile, the average sprinter can probably only run 200, 300, 400 meters at a full sprint before he or she tires out. That's how amazing your dog is. And if your little pooch wanted to bite you and had the upbreeding to do so, it could. You got to remember, a lot of our dogs have been bred through the generations not to bite. So they don't even know how to bite people anymore. But if they did, even your yellow lab would be a deadly animal. Yellow labs are really nice dogs. I think if I ever got a lab again, I would get one of those chocolate labs. I think we can all agree there's something that looks really special about the chocolate lab. Not the black lab, not the yellow, not the white. There's a specific chocolate color, just looks absolutely gorgeous. LR3465 says, didn't a little boy perish from a dog attack riding his freaking bicycle from an irresponsible owner? And then I put in parentheses, this is the second attack in a few weeks just in this St. Louis area. That is enough to make you want to pull your hair out. Like I said, I can get over a woman perishing in her backyard. I can definitely get over a guy perishing in his house, right? But I have a hard time knowing that a little 8-year-old boy or girl got yanked off of their bicycle and bitten to the point where they lost their lives. Like, that's just really hard to handle. Yeah, I know that sounds cruel, guys, but believe it or not, I don't really lose too much sleep when things happen to adults. I don't want them to happen to adults. I don't like when things happen to women, right? But so I guess on the totem pole of importance, I could care less about things happening to guys. I know it's horrible because we're all children of the Lord, but I don't really care too much about guys. With women, it is painful, but again, you know, usually you can have some pepper spray on you or something, right? You don't have to be a victim of the dogs. How much you want to bet those dogs went in this woman's backyard to protect her chihuahua? Because it said that she was survived by 4 children and a dog of her own. I bet you she went out in the backyard to protect her little chihuahua or her little shih tzu, and she lost her life. But again, I can stand that, but when it's the little kids, I really can't stand that, because you guys know as well as I do, 8 years old, that's practically a baby as far as I'm concerned. Kids should be able to live at least until they're adults before they have to worry about perishing, especially to some darn dog. And by the way, I do like dogs. I love dogs. Dogs are kind of like people from the standpoint of, I think we can all agree, 99.9% of us aren't really capable of doing these heinous things. And I would put dogs in that category, right? 99.9% of dogs can even roam out in public and they're not going to bite somebody. But again, because they still have those wild animal instincts, it's just kind of scary to know that this is happening to people. Sapphire Monroe says, I almost got attacked by 2 pit bulls over there in that area 2 years ago. They escaped from their own backyard and were roaming the streets. Something needs to be done about this, and owners need to get charged. I totally agree with you. I think the reason that kids act up in the classroom so much is because their parents aren't charged. I think that dog owners or people get attacked by dogs because dog owners don't get charged. I think that one of the best ways we could solve this would be to find out whose dogs these were and really make a public issue of it, really shame those people, and really punish them to the full extent of the law. What happens is we'll punish one person in one state, and then in another state, a judge will let somebody off with a slap on the wrist. We really need to have some laws that are just kind of, you know, I know that we don't like it when states get told what to do at the federal level, but again, doesn't it just seem unfair that some people commit a heinous crime, and based on the judge they get slaps on the wrist, and they get out in 7 to 10 years for taking someone's life? Do you guys remember the other day, we were talking about the woman that was asking the Duke lacrosse team players to forgive her because she admitted that they had never done anything wrong to her, you know, back 20 years ago. Do you guys remember that? Well, that lady ended up going into prison for unaliving her boyfriend. And instead of getting the death penalty or a life sentence in prison, they rewarded that lady with a little meager 18-year sentence. And 18 years, when you're our age, guys, it just goes by so incredibly fast that it just seems really unfair to me. So imagine the situation with these dogs. There's going to be some dog lover out there that'll take these owners of these dogs and will give them probation or something goofy that it doesn't even do justice to the victims. Meanwhile, there's another judge out there that's got a little meanness behind him, and he'll give somebody 25 years for this. I think if your dog takes another human being's life, 25 years is lucky. You should get thrown in jail forever. I know that sounds harsh, but think about what we're talking here. We're talking about your property ending someone's life. I'm sorry, give you life in prison. God darn, Jesse, thank God you're not a judge. I know. We would have a lot of people walking around. No, we wouldn't have a lot of people walking around. We'd have a lot of people in jail if I was the king. Oh my goodness. Don Clark, 88, 51 says, does anyone own a gun anymore? ? This is a 10-second problem for a gun owner. So here's the thing that I always ponder, and I would love if you guys can just weigh in on this, because I know you guys disagree with me. There's a lot of people in this country that want to outlaw guns. The problem with that is if you outlaw guns, only the outlaws or the people that don't obey the rules and laws of the land will have guns. In other words, it'll make things worse for us law-abiding citizens. However, if you flip that around and you made it where it was law that everybody had to own a gun and everybody had to be trained from a young age on how to properly use that, I think things like crime and assault would actually plummet. Because if you're a bad guy, how the heck do you want to attack somebody when you know they've been trained on how to use a weapon that's right there in their purse or right there on their hip? If I were a bad guy, I think that would make me think twice, whereas now it's like they do whatever they want because they know you don't have a gun. So again, I think just to keep the criminals guessing, I think we should change our stance on that, and I think we should make it where we urge everybody to be armed. I think that would be a better solution. Jesse, you're such a horrible person. I know. You want to know what's crazy? If you took every single person that ever lost their lives at the hand of a dog or another human being, and if they would have been armed and trained on how to use that weapon, I wonder how many of those people would still be alive today. Might not be 100%, but I don't think it would be zero, do you? I mean, literally, imagine this woman and this man, if they had owned a firearm. They could have taken that firearm out and they could have shot the dog. Here's the problem. Every time people do anything, there's going to be 1 million people that take the side of the dog. So imagine this woman pulls out her gun and she relieves herself of the presence of these 3 canines. How much you want to bet there would be a bunch of people up in arms asking for her to be arrested and thrown into prison? That's the problem with our world. We have too many people that don't care about the victim. And if the victim takes care of him or herself by eliminating the animal, we automatically jump to the side of the animal. It's a little backwards if you think about it, but it's true. It's true. Becky, you said the other day that your husband had told you that he watched Duel once upon a time and he thought it was a good movie. And then you were saying maybe I should watch it. It's one of those older movies from the 70s, right? So it's not necessarily going to be the best movie ever. But you got to remember back in the 70s and 80s, that's how movies looked. And so you had to use your imagination and you had to really jump into the movie. But if you look at all the movies nowadays, there's so many pyrotechnics and so many special effects and so many computer graphics inserted into the movie that when you look at something that was done the old school way, like Duel, all of a sudden it kind of loses a little luster. But if you can keep in mind what the movie's about, this demon-possessed diesel truck, it's pretty scary. So again, I hope you do watch it. I really do. Julie Bowman, 3944, says this is the third death by dog attack in 2 days. See, whenever you hear things like that, that's a little frustrating to me, because you want to have a situation where people can walk around their neighborhoods in safety. And when you're not safe, not because you have some crazy neighbor, but because you have some wild dogs running through the neighborhood, that is unfortunate. And like I said, they have a tendency to go after kids. Don't know why they do that. Maybe it's because the kids are naturally running, and you know how dogs are. If you run away from them, they want to chase you and play. And the problem with some of these breeds is that they're just too powerful for little kids. I bet you a pit bull could probably take out a 5 or 6 year old child in a matter of moments, you know, maybe less than a minute or two. And like I said, just such a horrible way to go. This poor lady had multiple bite wounds on her. Like I said earlier, if somebody tries taking you out with a weapon, they could hit your heart or your brain and hopefully take you out super quick. But when it's a dog and he's biting you in the face and in the arms and in the butt cheeks and everywhere in between, God, that is just an awful way to perish, isn't it? Here's the comment that I feel like would come from me. This is the comment I would be about. It's from user OB ... which means it might even be a robot for all I know. But it says, I'm still waiting for those quote unquote, these dogs were mistreated and it's not their fault, quote unquote, comments. Because you can almost picture somebody writing that as a comment, right? That it's not their fault. And then this person goes on to say, does that really matter to the victim? You know, it's one thing if you love animals. It's another thing if you want to adopt every stray cat and every stray dog you come by, right? Adopt them all, I say, whatever makes you happy. But we should still care at least a little bit more about the lives of fellow human beings than we do animals. I know it's hard to swallow, because every time you look in those puppy dog eyes of Rufus, you just want to kiss the dog and, you know, snuggle up with it, right? It's so nice. It's like a little teddy bear of a dog. But you got to remember, that's because Rufus loves you. If Rufus doesn't love you, Rufus could be a danger to somebody. And that's the thing that gets me. It's like, we should never, ever choose animals over people. I understand that you do. And I even told you, I gave you an excuse. If you choose your animal over a human being, at least I can say she chose her animal. But don't choose random animals over people. No matter how mean and cruel people are, there is something a little bit more special about a human life than an animal life, at least in my opinion. Now, with that being said, don't care about anybody else's life, other than maybe children or grandchildren, more than your own. And the best way to care about your own life is to get out like I do every day and take a walk. Every half hour that we walk burns about 150 calories, and that's the same amount of calories that Coca-Cola that you had at lunch put into your system. Let's walk off that daily Coca-Cola. Let's get healthier together. Let's watch our waistline shrink, and let's watch the weight come off the scale together. We're 3 weeks into this bad boy, and we're not stopping. We're gonna keep on going. Sean, you said yesterday that if people walk with me and with us venters, they might actually be able to save their lives. I think there's something to that. It's so easy every day to say, you know what? I walked yesterday. You know what? I'll walk tomorrow. But you got to look at it like your job. Can you pay the bills if you just stop working? Some of us can, but more than likely you can't. And that's how walking is. It lulls you into a sense of, hey, I'll just do it tomorrow. No, the only way walking works, Bob, is if you walk every single day. So put on your shoes, become a venter with us, walk with us every single day. It doesn't take that long to walk for a half hour. And then here's the big thing. After you're done, ask yourself, am I really done? Can I do another 15 or 20 minutes? And I already know the answer. The answer is yes, of course you can. So keep walking, venters. Hug your dog. We're not trying to get rid of your dog. And I'll see you tomorrow.